that I would really appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-lined broadcast bunker on the beautiful southern coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your weekly political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Thank you for joining me. What a beautiful day it is out here on the Oregon southern coast. I got my window open over here, and it's, as you can see, the light is blasting me with sunshine and all those beautiful rays that we don't get the advantage of having those rays too much here in southern Oregon. So take advantage of it while you can. This is good stuff. I almost want to go give up the show right now and go lay out on my patio in the buff. That's what I think I really would like to do, but I'm not going to do that because we've got a lot of stories to talk about. We've got a lot of important information that I need to get out to you folks. And right now, I want to let you know that we are still gathering signatures. We're still gathering signatures for several petitions. Before we go any further, I do want to say we are not playing Where's 3H Tree Service today. You know how we normally play Where's 3H Tree Service, and anyone in Coos County who finds 3H Tree Service wins a prize. We're not doing that today. Due to certain conditions, we weren't able to play. So I continue. But if you do need your trees taken care of, 3H Tree Service is the people who can do it. Now back to the petitions. We got done with the petitions for the clawback. That's the petition 303. It was a referendum on a piece of legislation that came through the special session this past February, and we put out an initiative, our referendum on it. A referendum is different than initiative. Initiative creates law. Referendum repeals bad laws. And that's what we wanted to do. And I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. I don't know if we're going to get it done. I know Ed Deal was working really hard on it, and I have to give Ed props on that. He was personally calling people from different counties, trying to get us up and going and getting the signatures for this clawback petition. And it's a really good idea because it decouples us from the exemptions given to us by that big, beautiful bill. Remember that big, beautiful bill? Yes, the big, beautiful bill that gave us all those beautiful tax exemptions. Well, the state of Oregon decided, no, we don't want you to have them. We're going to take those exemptions away. And because we don't want to give up our DEI, we don't want to give up our wokeness here in Oregon, because why? We're crazy. We're a blue state, and we're crazy by definition. When I say we, I mean the collective we, not you or me, because we're the sane people of Oregon. We are the resistance in Oregon. But no, we're fighting the crazies in Oregon. And of course, the legislature, in all their infinite wisdom, decided to decouple us from the big, beautiful bill because they didn't want to give up that wokeness. And so you no longer can get some of the tax exemptions, especially small businesses, that came with the big, beautiful bill, because they want to continue with the DEI and all the other garbage that they shove into the policies within every agency of the state. And thank goodness Trump is fighting against it. And it's too bad that our legislature is willing to capitulate with a renegade governor who basically is at war with the taxpayers of our own state. That's Tina Kotek. She's at war with the people of this state. I don't know how we keep putting people like her in office, but we do. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But we are getting those petitions signed, not the clawback petition, because that's been sent back. But we still have the end of death tax. That's very important. We have the catch and release, the crime fighting petition. Now, that petition has some controversy because it doesn't stipulate how it will be funded. Of course, I'm getting those signatures anyway because I think it's still a good measure to put up before the people. Do you want to stop the catch and release policy of the state? And I personally do. I think that people who commit crimes after they've committed, especially after they've committed several crimes, they're repeat offenders, they should go to jail and they should stay in jail. And so we've got the petition to help us continue that. Now, let's see, what other petitions do we have? The paddle petitions. This is going to be interesting. I have a story. But you can sign those petitions, and I'm going to talk more about the paddle petition because there's some interesting news coming out now that it's summertime. Now that it's summertime and all those granola eating, daisy spitting, grass grazing, tree hugging, all them hippies out there, they decided to put their kayaks into the rivers and into the ocean and into the streams. And guess what they found out? Oh, what? I have to get a permit for that? Really, man, you're killing my high. I mean, they gotta, Birkenstock is not cheap. These people have to keep their money when, we're talking about, well, Democrats and liberals and leftists. Their only concern is your money, not their money. Their money they're really concerned about is that they want to keep it. Your money, they don't care. They'll spend it on anything. But this permitting process that they now have on this new piece of legislation, you throw two inner tubes tied together into a stream and you paddle that sucker down the stream, you got to get a permit. If you take an inflatable, say you get one of those big whale inflatables, and I know they got them out there because we got them for our protest when we were protesting the wind turbines. We got this big inflatable whale. If you took that and you were paddling it down the river, you would have to get a permit for it. Well, you can sign that petition. You can help us stop that by going to the Republican headquarters. We're going to be there Monday through Wednesday. Right now, Elmer and Carol are there from 2 to 6. I will be there Tuesday and Wednesday. We're working on getting volunteers for the Republican headquarters. If you would like to volunteer, if you would like to help us get those petition signatures, and please, I'm pleading with you, we really need help. We really need help. We need to expand the hours that we keep the headquarters open so that people can come down and sign these petitions. And we need your help. And this isn't going to end with these petitions because we've got even more petitions coming down the road. So this is going to be something that we're going to be doing for a while, and we need your help. The headquarters, by the way, let me see. The headquarters is at 93677 Newport Lane. We've moved out of Newmark Plaza, and we're now south of Coos Bay. In fact, I got a map here for you. The new Republican headquarters at 93677 headquarters is a beautiful place. It's a standalone house, which is really neat. We kind of got our own parking lot there. And we're right down the road from the Human Bean and Shakes and Burgers. And you can see our little map right there. So please come down between Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. We'll be there from 2 to 6. I can guarantee at least that. I can guarantee at least we'll be there for that. And you can sign the petitions, especially end the death tax petition, end the toll road. Well, the end of the toll roads is going away too. Yeah, the end the toll roads, the clawback petition, and the end vote by mail. All of that's going back. But I was telling you about how, the hippie granola chewing, tree hugging, grass grazing, daisy spitters out there, they're all freaked out because, man, they were out and they were getting, they got out of their VW wagons there, and all the pot smoke comes out. And they got their kayaks and they went and they jumped in the water. And then, of course, the ODF&W comes up and says, hey, man, I hate to kill your high, but you got to get a permit for that kayak. And, of course, the hippies are like freaking out right now. And I've got a story on that. Let me see if I can share that with you. Let's see. share. Let's see. I think I'm sharing the screen now. Yes. Okay. So, how can I do this while I'm doing that? Okay. Share the screen. Boy, this works so well in practice. But yeah, right here, we're having all kinds of problem with that. That's all right. Here we go. I got the story. We're going to add this to the screen. Bloop. There we go. Kayaking in Oregon now requires a permit. Activists seek to end that. And I guess when they say activists, they're not talking about the granola eating hippies who have just realized that kayaking now is going to cost them a new permit. And I think the permit is like $50. I'm not sure. Let's read the story. Maybe it's in the story. There you go. She doesn't look too much like a granola eating hippie, but you know what I mean. There are many people out there who just didn't know this law has taken effect, and it has taken effect. It's very sad. Let's see. This is Stephanie Meadows of Gladstone Kayaks among the lily pads. And how beautiful. What a peaceful thing. Why would you need a permit just to go floating amongst the lily pads? This is, Oregon is one really screwed up place. Our government, it's a beautiful state, but our government, man, they really, it's amazing how far their heads actually go up their asses. It's really amazing. But a new Oregon law that went into effect on January 1st, 2026 now requires operators of non-motorized watercraft such as kayaks, canoes, and paddle boards to buy a permit before entering the water. A grassroots movement is underway to repeal that law. Hermanston, this is where this takes place. Kayakers are canoeists and paddleboarders who haven't been on an Oregon lake or river this year may be surprised to find they have to buy a permit before entering the water. Yeah. I mean, you know what we should do? We should tax hugging trees. That's right. So all the tree huggers out there, every time they go out and they hug a tree, you have to pay a $2 tax. Yep, a $2 tax for tree hugging. But I digress. The Oregon House Bill 2982 out of the 2025 Oregon legislature went into effect January 1st. The law requires anyone 14 or older operating non-motorized boats under 10 feet in length to buy a waterway access permit. The state also increased the cost of those permits beginning at the start of the year. Well, of course they did. The revenue generated from the permits and fee hikes funds aquatic invasive species prevention. I'm sorry, let me reread that. The revenue generated from the permits and fee hikes funds aquatic invasive species prevention, such as boat inspection stations and waterway facility grants. Now, I thought we already paid for that. I mean, we were funding that before. That funding hasn't gone away, so I'm not sure why that is happening, but apparently it is happening. And I just got a message from Carol and Elmer. Yes, let's see. Carol says, yes, they are at the headquarters. So please, if you want to sign those petitions, and especially this petition right here, and you don't have to be a granola bar eating hippie to go sign this petition, but I do recommend that you go over to the Republican headquarters. That's the Republican headquarters in Coos Bay. Let me see if I can add that to the stage right there. You can sign that petition right there. And that would be a good thing. That would be a very, very good thing. One of the other things that is happening is that we'll get to this later, but I wanted to play this first because this is so serious. And it was sad to hear. This just happened this weekend. Let me see if I can share this report. And it was actually a news report here of a very horrible thing that happened this weekend. I don't know if you heard about it. There was a police officer shot. There were several people killed, and so I want to put this up on screen, and I want to play the reports from the sheriff's department. Let's play that. Here we go. And I'll just start.
bunch of crunchy libs who wearing Birkenstocks who
Nope, of course not. Of course not. There we go. I got to add that to the stage before I can play it. Okay, that makes much more sense. All right, now try this.
bunch of crunchy libs who wearing Birkenstocks who don't hunt and don't own guns are telling people who, like me, will sit in a tree in freezing cold hours for recreation, something we've been raised to do for generations sometimes, that we can't do that anymore. Good luck. Who's going to enforce that? It's called the Peace Act, and it would.
I don't know if you can hear that, but it looks like it's frozen on my screen. That's weird.
Registered Oregon hunters and 500,000 anglers. In 2019, more than 1.2 billion
No, it's not
was spent
playing.
on hunting and fishing in Oregon. Not even talking about the sporting stores where you go buy the ammo and the clothes and all that stuff. Supporting over 11,000 jobs. And it's not just hunting and fishing. These libs are gunning for everything. They want you to end farming. You can't slaughter your own animals in a farming agricultural setting. You can't even neuter your dog. Oregon's cattle industry contributes almost $1 billion annually to the state economy. More than 2,000 people are employed as part of that food manufacturing pipeline. I love it when people without guns try to tell people with guns what they can and can't do with those guns. Legendary outdoorsman and musician and winner of the American Outdoorsman Sportsman of the Year, Ted Nugent, my man. Let's just go to Oregon and start hunting stuff.
I got to tell you, Carl, I get high on truth, logic, and common sense. And when I watch Carl Higby, I'm absolutely stoned. God bless you, sir. You notice when you first put the camera on my handsome Motor City Madhouse face, I was laughing hysterically because if somebody can tell me that I have to remove myself from God's natural, sustained yield, successful wildlife management, proven policy of hunting, fishing, and trapping, which, by the way, everybody write this down. Hunting, fishing, and trapping is perfect environmentalism, because without our activity and harvesting the surplus, Godzilla and Fedzilla will come in and take our tax dollars to pay some goon to clean up the overpopulation that we failed to manage. My name is Ted Nugent, and you can ban hunting all you want, and I will still go hunting.
Yeah, but Ted, I believe there was another guy with a name very similar to yours that talked about the process and amount of killing you have to do to make a tofu salad.
I educated the world. Joe Rogan picked up on it because nobody had ever heard it before, because our anti-education system made sure that kids didn't know where life came from. And if you want to kill the most things, have a salad, because the farmer with his disc and his plow and his Monsanto chemical warfare will kill every shrew, every bull, every ground squirrel, every gopher, every quail, every pheasant, every snake, every turtle, every frog, so you can have a death-free salad. I laugh in their face. You know, I used to go to Richard Pryor to get a laugh. I don't have, it doesn't matter whether Richard Pryor is still here. Just listen to a Democrat, and you might pee your pants laughing so hard. They are so mentally ill. But I got an organization.
All right. And, I really enjoy listening to the Motor City Madman. Yeah. Have you ever seen him in concert? Man, that guy was good. I saw him in 1979 in Shreveport, Louisiana. Yeah, that was a really good concert. Wild stuff. I remember somebody threw a beer bottle at him, and he threatened to stop the concert, jump off the stage, and beat the guy's ass. And luckily, the bouncers grabbed him and dragged the guy off the floor. But the good old days of the Motor City Madman. I got a couple of comments here, and I want to thank you all for joining me. It looks like Logan Vaughn is joining me. Hello, Logan, Don and Carol, and of course, Ashley. Hello, Ashley from Roseburg. Let's see. Logan says, Oregon is lost. Oh boy, a little pessimistic here. It was a good run, but the system is completely corrupted and hijacked. It is what it is. I encourage people to get out of the country while they still can't, because the border they're building is not to keep people out. He believes the border is to keep people in. And I don't personally buy into that, but that's okay. Who's to say that Logan is not right? It may be. I don't know. I don't know if Oregon is completely lost, Logan. I have a little bit more hope than that. I think we may actually see a Republican governor. It's a long shot. We might actually see it, and that would be very cool if we got that. So hang in there, Logan. Hang in there. Just you're a man of the cloth. You do a lot of praying. Pray. God may change everything for you. Who knows? Who knows? And of course, Ashley, hello from Roseburg. Hello from Bandon. And it's a beautiful day here. I bet it's like 20 degrees warmer in Roseburg right now. I wish I could get a little more heat down here, but that's all right. Jeff Petit says using a month to celebrate someone's sexual preference is just wrong. IDGAF, who you have sex with, STFU about it. Yeah, well, what can I tell you? I don't know why that's the way life is. Did you notice that, talking about someone who always wears his sexuality on his sleeve, but he doesn't anymore when he ran for commissioner. But when he was running for city council, he ran as the first thing he would always say is, I'm a bisexual, I'm bi, and I'm talking about Drew Farmer. He would talk about how he was bisexual all the time. And then he ran for county commissioner, and that kind of language went away because he had to appeal to the more red side of the county. So yeah, that was kind of interesting. And Marilyn Wright says, hey, Rob. Hello, Marilyn. Good to see you. And we were talking about several of the petitions that we have going on. Let's see. Steve Nye says Multnomah only had a 35% voter turnout. That might be a good sign for November. Maybe not. I think, I'm not sure how many, what is there, like 20,000 people in Curry County? Just in one precinct in Multnomah County, they have just as many in that population in one precinct as we do in our entire county. So when they say 35% turned out, well, yeah, but it's 35% of what, 1.5 million people? I don't know. It seems like it's still going to be a much larger number, but who knows? Who knows? It may be okay for us. Let's see. There was an interesting turn of events here. Let's see. Trump ordered limits on voting by mail, and I believe a court just backed him up on that. Let me see if I got that here. Oh, well, why does my share screen always screw up when I need it? I don't know why that always happens, but it does. So I'm going to share that right now. Let me add that to stage. And Trump ordered limits on voting by mail. The Postal Service is moving to make states comply. And a court, was it today or Friday? I'm not sure which. I was just reading about this earlier, and this just happened. Like I said, I don't know if it was just on Friday or just today, where a court, this is a Washington, D.C. court, just upheld Trump's executive order where he's going to allow the post office to make its own voter rolls to check against the state voter rolls to make sure that people aren't voting. Because, even dead Democrats have to be put into check, right? And those Republicans who died and later became Democrats, or at least started voting democratically for the Democrats, well, they probably are getting tired of that. So that order was upheld by a court, and that just happened today. So that's a good thing. And we still, even at our headquarters, we still do have some of those end vote by mail petitions. Excuse me. They are going away, folks. They're going away, and we need people to, come out and sign it. Come out and sign it. And that I-28, well, I got bad news for you. That's the one that Ted Nugent was just talking about. Yeah, that's on the ballot, and we got to fight against it. Hopefully, if it does pass, and folks, it's sad to say, but it may pass in Oregon because, well, more than half the state is batshit crazy, and I really don't know how to defend that. But if the animal peace bill is it a peace act? I forget what they call the damn thing. It's a lie, whatever they call it. If it passes, then it's going to go straight to the court. And I just got this huge comment dropped in, and it's Cheryl Armstrong. Hello, Cheryl. And Cheryl says, I have to put my 2 cents in. Okay. Hold on. Looks like I'm going to have to do a little bit of reading. And I have to tell you, this is the problem with America. Everyone puts in their 2 cents, But Cheryl, you only get a penny for your thoughts. That's why we're in an intellectual deficit in this country. We all put our 2 cents in, but we only get a penny per thought. Just think about that. Cheryl Armstrong says, I had to put my 2 cents in. A month ago, I went into our local post office to get a legal sized envelope. I was told they were out. I went back today to buy a legal sized envelope. I was told they were out. My comment to them was, "You're flipping post office. How can you be out? You are a flipping post office. How can you be out?" I was here a month ago and I got told the same thing. She said whoever ordered them before ordered the wrong ones and the customer service was horrible. I went to 2 places today. Let's see. And customer service sucked this world. Customer service sucks in this world. I'm not sure what that last sentence is. For some reason, oh, there it is. I can read it over here. It says, customer service sucked this world. Yeah, customer service does suck in this world. I don't know what to do about that. And when I was raising my son, I told him I never gave a damn what job he had. You could be cleaning toilets. You could be flipping burgers at McDonald's. If you're going to be doing that, I want you to be the best burger flipper there is. I don't care what job you have, whether you are a brain surgeon or whether you're cleaning dumpsters. Be the best dumpster cleaner you can be. Be the best brain surgeon that you can be. That's all we're asking in society. We don't demand everyone be a brain surgeon. We don't want everyone to be a football hero. Well, not everyone can be. It's just not possible. But if you are working and you're doing something, take pride in what you're doing. If you're earning money, you're doing a lot more than some of the people out there who are standing on the street going, "Hey, can you have some money?" I have so much more respect for the guy who's working his butt off at McDonald's, who's barely making it because for some reason he just has a hard time holding on to a job. I have so much more respect for those people who are doing that than those who are standing out on the street corner asking for money. And all I ask from the people who are working, just be the best worker that you can be for whatever the job it is that you're doing. That's all we ask. As a boss, that's all I ask. And I don't expect too much from people. Like I said, I don't expect you to be a brain surgeon, but damn, do a good job. Take pride in your work, folks. Let's see, Brett. Hey, Brett, how you doing? Midterm primary was up compared to previous years at 43.5% in Curry County. That is 8,406 voters of the 19,338 eligible voters. This is nearly a 4% increase on the 2022 midterms, representing almost 900 more votes than before. It puts Curry County well above the state average of 32.2%, which I think most of the Republican counties, even in Coos County, I think we had a little bit higher percentage. I'd have to go back. I thought we hit 38%. I could be wrong on that, Brett. And Brett, thank you for joining. That's really cool. This is going to be one hell of a battle, because even at the 19,338, if every single one of those voters voted, I go back to the one precinct out of the, I don't know how many precincts they have in Multnomah County, but one precinct in Multnomah County probably has more, 3 times or 6 times more than 19,000 people in that precinct. And that's the problem we're dealing with is, we have to deal with that. I'm sorry, I didn't even have that on the page. I should have put that on the page there. Let me see if I can just put those on there like that. Hey, looky there. That works kind of nice. And Cheryl says, this world is going to hell in a handbasket. Well, it's going to hell, and I think they even gave up on the handbasket. It's pretty sad. It's pretty sad. And Brett says, continuing his thought, compared to previous years at 41.9% in Coos County, that is 21,250 of the 50,729 eligible voters. This is a 1.3% increase on the 2022 midterms, representing 1,551 more votes than before. It puts Coos County well above the state average of 32.2%. showing great amounts of civic engagement. And once again, I go back to because it's probably we're a red county and we were voting against the tax. If that tax would not have been on the ballot, we probably wouldn't have seen the turnout that we got. And I think there was two major reasons: was the gas tax and the fact that we had people were really excited and engaged in the governor's race. I think that really got people going. But here's the thing: of that 50,729, I think that is like 102% of the voters. Yeah, that's really bad, because I think we're supposed to have if you look at the census, I think we have a much smaller voting population. This goes back to Trump and the mailing list that he's trying to do through the post office, which I'm not even sure I agree with. I think this is federal government messing with the state's voting rights, but we'll see how that turns out. Yeah, and once again, I don't think I showed, there's Brett's comment. You can read it in the little corner there, but yeah, that's some good stuff. And of course, TJ, happy Pride Month, everyone. Yeah, right. You know what freaks me out is that they celebrate Juneteenth and Pride Month. So shouldn't, instead of February, the shortest month, shouldn't Black people have the right to have a regular month? And shouldn't it be when they celebrate Juneteenth? I mean, why do they put the gay pride thing in the Black holiday month? You know, that just kind of seems, not that I think that anyone should have their own month. I'm really not for that at all. I'm not sure why that's even necessary, but if you're going to have one, why would you have the gay one, the gay month in the month that they have Juneteenth? That really screws it up. I don't know. Liberals, I don't know. I don't think every now and then. But I do find this interesting. This was, let's see. I had Seata on the show. Seata is running for the 33rd district up in Portland. And this is some of the Portland news that's coming out. And I thought this was kind of interesting. This is a story on homelessness. And she came here from Liberia. Her parents came here from Liberia. And it was interesting because last night I just happened to turn on TV and I was watching the movie, the Lords of War. And that stars, let's see, what's his name? Nicolas Cage. He was in that movie. It's a great movie. You got to check it out. But he deals with, throughout that movie, one of the main people that he's dealing with was it Batista? But I think that was it. Batista from Liberia. Liberia, unlike Monrovia was colonized by the United States, but Liberia was actually colonized by a group of abolitionists who couldn't seem to get the Africans to settle here. And so this was before the Civil War. They moved them over to Liberia. And those Black Africans actually took advantage of the slave laws and started capturing other Black people in Liberia and selling them to white people in the States. Yeah, I don't know if you know that about the history of Liberia, but the whole history of the country is very violent. And back in the 80s and the 90s, Liberia was known for its children's soldiers. These kids were walking around with these AKs, and believe me, a bullet from a 14-year-old is just as deadly as a bullet from a 40-year-old. And so and even worse so, because a 14-year-old has no fear of death, and they're just lean, mean fighting machines. And once they get into this lifestyle, it's, how can you change a person who got into something like this so young? But it's amazing that Seata, her parents went through much of this. She's a first generation American, and she's living in Portland. She's Black, she's a lesbian, and she's running as a Republican. Believe it or not, there are Republicans in Portland. I want you to check out this video.
Hi, this is Seata Thompson, and I'm running for Oregon House Seat 33. So I just read an article in the Oregonian from earlier this month. I don't know how I missed it. Basically, the Multnomah County has just thrown up their hands and given up on trying to fix homelessness. In fact, their experts basically admitted the problem's just going to get worse. Now, after billions of dollars that we've spent in the last 5 to 10 years, how can you advocate that, oh, well, we tried. The problem's just going to get worse. And, like, with a straight face, aren't you sick of our leaders managing the decline of our civilization versus actively fighting back? I just think it's preposterous. We've spent so much money. How could we just be okay with, in 2027, homelessness is just going to get worse? It's outlandish. At the end of the day, you and I both know we need to put some hard measures in place. We need to make sure that folks, it's not a lack of housing, okay? We just have to be honest about that. It's not a lack of housing. It is a drug treatment, a drug addiction, and mental illness crisis. That's the humanitarian crisis that we see on the street. That's what has people living in the street, losing limbs, defecating, urinating in your yards. Is that what you really want? Is that what you really want? People just steeped in their illness, steeped in their addiction? How is this freaking compassion? You tell me. No, this is why I'm running, to fight back against this attitude that, oh, well, there's nothing we can do. Nonprofits, just like any organization, need to be held accountable. That's the first thing. You need to be held accountable. You need to be showing us, as the public, as taxpayers, where all the money is going. Where's the money going each quarter? And if you're doing good work, you should have no problem doing that, frankly. And if you're not doing good work, then we need to know. If you agree, follow me for more. And if you like what I'm saying, donate, share, and go to SeattleThompson.com and support the campaign. Thanks.
And thank you, Seattle, for being on the Friday Night Rant. And if you didn't catch the Friday Night Rant, you got to go catch it. That was some really engaging conversation we had with Seattle, and which is weird because I'm a fascist racist, so I'm not sure why I have actually, I'm a homophobic racist. That's what they label me, which is weird because I just had a lesbian black person on the show. You would think that I would be a much better homophobic racist. I don't know. I must be really lousy at doing that job. But I love Seattle. I think she's wonderful. We plan on going up there and supporting her and working for her. I think she's doing an excellent job. And it just goes to show that the stereotypes can be broken, and we are breaking them here. Right here in Oregon. We're not going to allow these people to be treated badly by the Democrats, the leftist. And she hasn't taken too much grief running, but I'm sure when she gets out into the general election and we start having some events for her campaign, it's not going to be very pretty. Ezekiel Wallace says General Joshua Milton Blahey was very ruthless in the Liberian Civil War. Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Very, very brutal. The whole history of Liberia is a brutal, brutal conflict, one after another. It's sad. The warlords just continue one after another fighting each other. I don't know. I think one of the only other place that probably is even worse than Liberia would be the Congo. I think the Congo and the Civil War that they were having, I mean, it's just horrible what's happened to that continent and to those people. Marilyn Wright says she was awesome. Hopefully she will get elected. And I think she was awesome too. She was great. And I hope she gets elected as well. But talking about Portland, I got to share this here and pop it up on the screen. Yep. There's reports of ICE activity in Southern Oregon. These reports have surged. 6 detained in 11 days. Oh no. And they said Southern Oregon. So I looked down here and I said, oh, where are they? Are they in Roseburg? Are they in Medford? No, they're in the Rogue Valley. Do you consider the Rogue Valley Southern Oregon? This had to have been written by someone in Portland. Anything south of Multnomah County is Southern Oregon. That's pretty much what they think of us. I mean, seriously, really, guys? Geez. But I digress. I continue here. It says Rogue Valley Migro Watch tracks incidents involving federal immigration and customs enforcement officers. Ask area residents to be vigilant, report sightings accurately. And I'll tell you what, I almost want to start calling them and making fake reports just so I can keep them busy. And if I don't know, I really don't have the time to do that. But if you have the time to do that, this is what you do. You find the Rogue Valley Migro Watch website and you give them a call and you say, yeah, man, I just saw immigration pull up to the Walmart here or the Home Depot. Yeah, man. They're at the Home Depot and they're rounding up anyone who's brown, man. Yeah, it's horrible, man. You got to come and check it out. I mean, I would just mess with them. I would just mess with them on that one. And, Ezekiel, he says, you are on the big TV at the Republican headquarters. I am so sorry. That must be very painful for all of you. I apologize. Carol, what are you doing to those people? They're never going to come back, you know. Luckily, you're at the new headquarters. At the old headquarters, it was such a small room. That big TV was like really in your face. But at least now you got a little bit of room. But so I get back to this ICE reports. I want to read some of this. It said instances of immigration and customs enforcement, ICE, taking individuals into custody in the Rogue Valley are ramping up, with 6 individuals taken into custody in public places from May 19th through May 29th, according to Ali Rosenbluth, community organizer with the Rogue Valley Migro Watch, a volunteer grassroots organization that tracks the federal agency's activity in the region and trains individuals on how to spot and report it. I would even go this far. If you have a lot of time, not only would I call them and mess with them and tell them, report phony instances of the ICE showing up, I would go take the training and I would find out all the interworkings of this group, and then I would find ways to mess with them. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but that's my recommendation. You might want to think about that. You might want to think about, if you want to stall some of these leftist organizations who are well-funded, they get a lot of money. This helps out our side. Because it doesn't take a lot of money. It just takes a little bit of time. So that would be my recommendation to anyone out there who really wants to mess with these leftist commies who are interfering with the immigration deportation of violent criminals. These aren't people who just walked across the border. These are violent criminals. Why are the Democrats defending these dirtbags? Well, I'll tell you why the Democrats are defending them. Because the Democrats are these dirtbags. They just happen to be American dirtbags. And so the American dirtbags are defending the foreign dirtbags. And that's why they need more of them, because they need them to vote for their dirtbag politicians so they can practice their thievery. That's what these people are all about. That's what communism is all about, thievery. How much of other people's money can I spend? And so mess with these people. If you get a chance, please give them a call and report phony immigration. And I don't even know if that's legal or not. That's strange. Let's see. JT says, I'd come down there, Hezekiah, if I didn't have to work tonight. Yeah. I should have taken one of those lozenges that Gail gave me. Drink some of that tea to soothe my throat. There's been a lot of pollen lately. My car is just covered with pollen. I don't know about your allergies, but my allergies are just killing me. I don't know if this is happening to you. There was, I finally found this video. I was talking about something that happened this past weekend. It was a pretty violent crime. I want to play this for you. It's pretty sad. Let me take that banner down. Let me take the comment down. Let's see here. And here you go. This just happened this past week. This happened yesterday. You good?
All ready?
Yeah.
I appreciate all of you being here this evening. I'm Chief Patrick Husky with the Sandy Police Department. This is still an active investigation, and there's a lot that we cannot share at this time. However, I do want to provide a brief update to our community. Shortly before 4 p.m. today, officers with the Sandy Police Department and deputies with the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office responded to a report of a domestic disturbance and a shooting in the 39,000 block of Evans Street in Sandy. During the response, officers and deputies came under gunfire and returned fire. At this time, I can confirm one of our officers was shot, evacuated from the scene, and transported by life flight with multiple gunshot wounds. The officer is in stable condition, and I'm extremely thankful that I can tell you that they are expected to survive. There are multiple victims deceased at this time. The suspect is in custody. Just before 8 p.m., they surrendered to law enforcement, and there was no incident. He surrendered peacefully. There is no ongoing community threat. Everything is safe at this time. I understand everyone wants answers and information right now, but this remains a very dynamic and active investigation. I can tell you that investigators from the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office and the Clackamas County Major Crimes Team are working to process the scene, conduct interviews, and to get the answers our community deserves. This is a traumatic event for our community and the Sandy Police Department, and I know many people are grieving. I ask everyone in our community to keep the victims, our injured officer, and families, friends, and all the first responders in their thoughts tonight. Thank you.
That was a very sad situation. Apparently 3 people did die in the shooting, and it was a domestic disturbance, which is the worst kind of call a police officer has to respond to. I mean, you know, any regular traffic stop is dangerous and can turn really dangerous really fast for a police officer. But a domestic disturbance is one of those where you don't know what those people have been doing to each other for how many years they've been doing it. You don't know the complexities and the intricacy of the relationship of the people who are battling out when you get to one of those domestic disturbances. And I've seen it myself. I've seen people break up a domestic disturbance. And I remember one situation where one of my friends went to stop a couple from fighting, jumped on the back of the guy and was trying to hold him down. And the wife, instead of thanking the gentleman who was holding down her husband who was beating her, she jumped on the guy who was holding her husband down and started beating him. And so domestic disturbances are one of those things where you don't want to show up to, but if you have to, it's one of those things where you never know what the situation is. And you may have a husband who is or even a wife or some other family member who's just had it. They want out, and they're willing to take people with them, especially the people that they're supposed to love the most. And that's why when people go that hate is the opposite of love, no, hate isn't the opposite of love. Love and hate are almost just the same relationship, because love or hate, you think about this, you have to have deep feelings for people to either love or hate them. So love is the positive feeling that you feel for somebody, the most positive of positive feelings. Hate is the worst of the worst feelings that you could have somebody. So hate isn't the opposite of love, because like I said, that's the best of all feelings. Indifference is the opposite of love, because that's no feeling whatsoever. And yes, you can hate people that you love. I'm sure that you know people that you love very dearly that sometimes you really hate some of the things they do. And when you're in a relationship where that balance of hate and love starts to tip, and you have a police officer show up, things can go really bad really fast. So I feel very bad for this officer, and I hope the best for his family, and I hope the family that suffered this gets through it. But it leads into something else I wanted to talk about. A couple of weeks ago, I was talking about statistics, crime statistics. And one of the crime statistics that I brought up, among many multitude of crime statistics was that the black population is about the black male population of America is about 13%. Yet the murders, half the murders, I believe like 52 to 58% of the murders are committed by black males that only make up 13% of the population. That statistic is absolutely true. And I got all kinds of heat from people who, well, were calling me a racist, of course, because I put that statistic out there and I backed it up with the data from the FBI and the Department of Justice. And of course, I was called a racist. And then just a couple of days ago, I saw this video that cleared up some of what I was talking about with another statistic that I didn't bring up, but I thought was very good at that diffusing the argument where people were saying that I was racist because I didn't include all the numbers. And this gentleman clears that up a little bit. And so I've got this video, and I just thought it was interesting enough that I thought it tied into that argument that I was making, that it's really not about the color of the person who commits the crime. It's about the laws against the criminals. We don't care what color the criminals are. All criminals should be punishment. In fact, mercy for the criminal is injustice for the victim. And that's the motto that we need to go forward with. You want to protect victims. You want to make a better society. We've got to punish criminals. There is no two ways about it. And so that, to me, is the really important part. The statistic itself leads to other questions. And this gentleman in this video will talk about some of the questions that it leads to. And on the end of it, we'll discuss. Okay, so check this out.
Crimes at higher rates per capita than any other group in America, disproportionate relative to other groups. This is true. Saying it shouldn't be controversial, but this is how people respond when someone says it.
These are obviously racist claims, but I will respond to them as if Charlie Kirk were a reasonable person.
For 13% of the population, and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Wrong again, and loud this time. If Charlie were interested in honesty, he would have mentioned the other 1350 statistic. Yes, black people are about 13% of the population, but make up 53% of all criminal exonerations. In fact, black people make up 55% of all murder exonerations. Specifically, black people are more likely than any other group in this country to be convicted of crimes they did not commit. Reality is that you probably know these stats, but you leave them out on purpose, because to bring that stat into this conversation would make some people think. And that's the last thing a person like you want.
Part of Garrison's response is the problem with how we discuss taboo topics. Instead of acknowledging what's true and what's false, he dismisses the entire point. Garrison cites data about wrongful convictions as if it disproves Charlie's claim. That chart shows that nearly 1,200 murder exonerations happened from 1989 to 2023. But there were almost 600,000 murders in that time frame. That's an exoneration rate of only 0.2%. Yes, black people are wrongfully convicted more often. That's a real problem. But remove every single exoneration and nearly 600,000 murders still remain, disproportionately committed by black people. Now, do racists make the same point Charlie made? Yes, but racists making the same points doesn't make the points racist or wrong. The defensiveness people feel when confronted with these points is understandable. And it's self-defeating, because you know who suffers when black crime isn't addressed? Black people.
Black people suffer when these black crimes, any crimes, are ignored. People suffer when criminals are allowed to rule the streets. Look at Empire. Look at some of the neighborhoods in Coos Bay. Look at some of the outlying areas in the unincorporated area of Coos County. There are places where, believe me, you go walking into, you're going to feel very unsafe because there are people camping there. Criminal element that are camping out in the middle of the woods. The sheriff can take you, go call the sheriff and ask him. He could probably take you to some of these campgrounds that are out in the middle of the woods where these criminal individuals are living. These are not homeless people. These are not people who need homes. And the fact that someone can come on here and put out a statistic to the very fact that 13% of the population, or a group of the people inside that 13% of the population, is killing 52 to 58%, or committing 52 to 58% of the murders. That is a true statistic. And we should ask ourselves, why? Why are so many young black men committing these murders? I think that's an answer that we need to answer, not for the defense of white people, but for the defense of black people, for the defense of people like Seattle. Seattle has more chance of being murdered by another black person than she ever has of being murdered by a white person. And that's not the way it should be in this country. And yet that statistic proves that fact, that that's what's going on. And the other statistic, the other 1350, where 13% of the population are the ones who are exonerated from crimes that they didn't actually commit, that's a serious question too. Why is that happening? Why is that happening? And maybe that's why a lot of black people feel like there is no justice, because so many of them are suffering the injustices of the law. And I'll give you a good example. The drug war was nothing really than an attack on poor people. Poor people, whether you were white, whether you were brown, whether you were black, whether you were yellow, it didn't matter. If you lived in the poor inner cities or the poor neighborhoods, you were way more targeted by the DEA and groups like SINT here in Oregon, all the drug cops. You were way more targeted. And just by the sheer fact that most minorities, or most of these poor neighborhoods, are populated with minorities, they're the ones who are disproportionately getting arrested. Now, for the crimes, if you don't like the disproportionate amount of people going to jail for murder, then stop committing the disproportionate amount of murders. That's easy enough. But for the crime, there are some questions that needs to be answered. Why are blacks targeted at a higher rate than white people? That's a damn good question. I'll give you an example. Black people are twice as likely to get pulled over by cops than white people. Why is that? I have no idea. So, there are some statistics we need to look at. Is there racism in the law? I can tell you, yeah, in the drug war, there was disproportionate amount of enforcement, because I guarantee you there were just as many white college kids in very upper class neighborhoods who were snorting cocaine and using pot and all the other drugs that people were using in the poor neighborhoods. The only difference is that they had lawyers and there weren't the police scouring their neighborhoods, because it wasn't being dealt on the street corner, unlike the poor, impoverished neighborhoods where they were open market drug dealing going right on in your neighborhoods. That was very evident, and that's why they were disproportionately targeted. So there are things that we have to talk about in our criminal system that we have to work on, but I don't know. I'm not a racist for pointing out that fact. Nobody else is. And just because you don't like the statistics, well, then tell me why, and let's figure out a way to change that. But that was just something that I thought was very interesting that popped up on my feed, like I said, after 2 weeks ago of going through that. Another thing that's going on is that I don't know if you heard about the Moda Center, but there's a lot of people really ticked off that the Blazers are getting a huge amount of money for the Moda Center. And I want to share this screen with you. And so I believe it was the Taxpayers Organization made this commercial. And here it is. I want to play this for you because it's pretty funny. And yeah, here you go.
Welcome to Billionaire's Banquet. Tina says Oregon cupboards are bare. But tonight, Governor Kotek spares no expense.
You aren't on the guest list, but you are picking up the tab for the billionaire owner of the Portland Trailblazers.
To start, Tina serves up $75 million from the Clean Energy Fund.
And the main course?
A 9-figure cut of prime bond debts, slowly cooked until the total cost grows to $600 million.
Side dishes?
There's a medley of increased motor vehicle taxes, all for a billionaire basketball group that contributes nothing to the Motor Center renovation.
Check, please.
$1 billion! Enough to give Oregon taxpayers
Indigestion.
And that's why Oregon Capital Watch paid for this.
Oh, you don't want to hear it again. My apologies.
Welcome to Billionaires Bank.
But that was their commercial. I think they could have done way better, but I know the point that they're trying to get across. But here's what ticks me off. This was put out by Oregon Catalyst, and I think it was the Oregon Taxpayers Association who did this commercial. But the one thing that they're lacking is they didn't talk about the Republicans who voted for that, namely one specific Republican. Our senator here in Coos County. Yeah, the guy who represents Curry, Douglas, and Coos, and a part of Josephine County, I believe. Yes, that would be David Brock Smith. Here you've got all of the mainstream Republicans bitching about that $1 billion that eventually is going to go to all those wealthy basketball players because they're the ones who are going to benefit from all of this. And yet they're not mentioning some of the people who voted for it. You know, some of the people, well, like this guy.
I support the bill. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Senator Brock Smith.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. I really appreciate the conversation. I appreciate the engagement of course, my leader Star and yourself in crafting the language and the safeguards for Oregonians moving forward. I mean, we're talking about, bonding 20 years. I appreciate Senator Frederick's comments earlier and bringing up the urban-rural divide, and because it's it's a real thing, and investment in rural Oregon is critically important. But so is, especially in our economic challenges that we have today in Portland, and we don't need to go through the headlines about doom loop and those things because we all know them. But as I said on the Senate floor last week, a healthy Portland is a healthy Oregon. And so as my brother lives and is a constituent of Senator Solomon, and I understand that the Moda Center and the investments in the Moda Center might not be directly connected to Southwest Oregon and my fish farm and forestry district in Curry, Coos, and Douglas County. The economic development and benefits of making sure that we can do all that we can to assist in Portland becoming the, reigniting Portland to becoming the great city of roses as it has been, is beneficial to all Oregonians. And so I appreciate, again, the discussion and appreciate the opportunity to support you and my colleagues in this opportunity moving forward.
Thank you so much. Representative Gomberg.
And that there is our representative giving away our money to a bunch of Portlanders who don't give a shit about us. In fact, they don't care so much about us that they're driving people out of this state. It was just reported in the Oregon Catalyst that 88,000 people, it's estimated, have turned in their driver's license, meaning they've moved out of town. And what does that mean for us? Well, I'll tell you what that means is that if this continues, you're going to have such a drain on Oregon. We're going to lose legislators here. We're going to lose more of our representatives up in Washington, D.C. If you notice this chart here, we're set to lose at least one of our representatives, one of our congressional representatives, because they're not going to reappoint them because based on a 5-year population trend, we're probably going to lose that person. So we need to do something to fix it. And I'll tell you what, when my senator here is giving away $1 billion and we're just bleeding profusely, we're bleeding tax dollars, and our senator is giving away $1 billion to a $1 billion team where the people on the team are making $100 million in their contracts. It's absolutely ridiculous. But that's the price that we're paying for having a senator who, well, is a dirtbag. And he's now running against Merkley. I hate Merkley. I think Merkley's a disgusting man. I hate his politics. But this isn't going to change anything to put a Republican in his place who's willing to give away our money just as fast as Merkley's giving it away. And once this happens, people are going to leave Oregon, and we're going to lose more of our representation in Washington. And if you're losing more people, and right now, I believe they've estimated the retail value in downtown Portland is lost 70%. How can you recoup from that by putting $1 billion into the Moda Center? Is somehow putting that kind of money in the Moda Center going to give us such an economic boost that it's going to save the city of Portland? I highly doubt it. And it's only going to hurt us here in rural Oregon. Peggy Rents, she says, yeah, but because of equity, they are giving kids diplomas even though they can't read or write in Oregon. And she's absolutely right. This just came out. This was posted on Twitter today. And I thought it was interesting. What it shows is the academic proficiency comparisons between 2016 and 2026. This is a 10-year span. And this comes from the Oregon Department of Education. Beaverton Hillsborough District, they went from 55% proficiency to 32% proficiency. And Tigrid, they went from 62% proficiency to 38% proficiency. In Clatsop, it went from 85 to 48. In Columbia County, it went from 28 to 18. And in Tillamook, this is the worst spread yet. I don't know what the hell they're doing in Tillamook. Maybe they're stuffing too much cheese down their throat. I don't know. Get them a book. But 92% proficiency rates compared to this year at 45% proficiency rate. Yeah, we're just not teaching our kids. This is not going to get any better. And no wonder they're voting for people like David Brock Smith because, well, they're stupid. And creating a more stupid population isn't going to get us out of this problem, folks. It's a very, very sad situation, and we're going to have to do something about it. Let's see. Ezekiel says David talks too much. He needs to summarize. Yeah, good luck with that. Yeah, I've been telling him that for years. Good luck to that. So yeah, let's see. Let me do my stop sharing here. I'm going to switch to something that if there's any kids in the room, you may want to pull them out. This isn't something that you're going to want them to listen to. It's something that I was covering back in 2019. Let's see if I can put this up on the screen. This young man right here, he looks kind of like a young lady. This young man, I was reporting on him back in 2019 when I was on the radio. He was on the cover of, I believe it was Time magazine. But he has a very interesting story. He has an interesting story that I only think is going to become more prevalent as the years go on, starting from 2020 when we started this transitioning phase. It's just a phase. And that's what it was. And the leftists took this phase and they tried to make a revolution out of it. And this young man on the screen right now is a victim of the transgender revolution that they were trying to create here. This is a very, very sad story. Let me remove the comments so you can see all of this. This is a picture of this young man with President Biden, if you can call him a president. And let's see. I don't know if you remember Avery Jackson. Like I said, I reported on him going back to 2019. This is the trans girl who at 9 years old, folks, was on the cover of the National Geographic in January of 2017. Avery was given the gold standard in gender-affirming care. He was chemically castrated and sterilized with blockers to hold off male puberty. Now Avery has come out as non-binary and chosen not to pursue transitioning, meaning that his puberty was blocked for no reason. But that's not the worst part. He also identifies as asexual, meaning that he doesn't experience sexual attraction. This is undoubtedly the result of the medication used to delay male puberty. The president of WPATH, that's a group that helps people who are detransitioning, Dr. Marcy Bowers, has said on camera that so-called puberty blockers, which are used to chemically castrate sex offenders, chemically castrate the young boys who take them as well, leaving them incapable of arousal or orgasm. And I continue, for adults, sex offenders, this process is reversible. It's reversible for the guys they got locked in prison who've gone through puberty. But for boys like Avery, the effects are permanent. He will never feel sexual attraction or any of the experiences that accompany it. He is also completely sterile. Very sad, very sad. He will never father a child, and his own childhood was spent in the national spotlight. The blockers he was given have also stunted his physical and mental development in irreversible ways. We know from the experiences of other trans children that he will never sexually mature, neither physically nor emotionally. All of these things were stolen from him, and he has said that transitioning ruined his life. Now, in 2019, when I was on the radio, I was telling people that this young man is going to regret the decisions that I don't think he made. I think he was coerced into making. I think his parents exploited him because of the movement. I think the people in the movement and the doctors exploited him. And I don't think it was really for transgenderism. I know people are going, well, what are you talking about, Rob? That's exactly what they did. They made him a male into a female. Well, you and I know they can't do that. Biologically, a male can't become a female. And if you think you are a female trapped in a male body, it's because you're mentally ill. This child had body dysphoria, and he should have been treated for body dysphoria, and he'd probably be a healthy, active, normal young man to this day. But he's not, because everyone in this young man's life, well, they allowed this abuse to occur. They're all guilty. They're all guilty. They should all go to jail. This is sick. And I've said this from the very beginning, and I said this in 2019 when I read this story on the radio. I said, this is not about transgenderism. This is about transhumanism. And I explained that what they are trying to do is they're trying to get rid of the orgasm, the human orgasm. They're trying to make us all asexual, because if we're not attracted to each other, we're not going to procreate. So the people who believe that we should all have a chip put into our head and we should be hooked to the mainframe, they also believe that we have too many humans and that we need to depopulate the earth. And that one way to depopulate it is to treat us with chemicals that make us asexual. And then once we're no longer attracted to each other, we will accept the idea of hooking up to the mainframe and becoming transhuman, part human, part machine. So this young man, his youth was, and his life has been sacrificed, not at the altar of transgenderism, but the altar of transhumanism. This is all about changing the human species. And if you look at what they did to this young man, the way they destroyed his life in the most perverted of ways, I can't think of a more disgusting, horrible thing you can do to a young man other than just literally killing him. In fact, they did kill him. They murdered his identity. He is no longer the person he was, or the person that he should have become. And it breaks my heart when I look at this picture of this young man who's being paraded out like some femboy for the pleasure of all the sick perverts out there who thinks it's a wonderful thing to indulge people in their sick fantasies. And then we get stuck with these young men who years from now, when this young man, Avery, when he becomes so angry like many other people who've gone through this transitioning. They become so angry. You see them, they want to go shoot up a school or a church or a synagogue or a mosque. It's happening. I'm not making it up. You know it's happening. You've seen the news. Many of the last mass shooters were people in transitioning. And here we have Avery, who we put him on a spotlight, we put him on a pedestal, we pumped him full of drugs, we sterilized him, we chemically castrated him. And when I say we, I don't mean we as in you and I mean we as the collective, the society, a sick society that seems to no longer value individualism or the rights of the individual. I almost want to cry. This is so sad. This is so sad that what they did to this young man. And he'll never be the person he was meant to be. And who's going to pay for it? Then the question becomes, all of those young people who came to Oregon to get those free transgender surgeries here, well, when they want their detransitioning surgeries, where do you think they're going to go? They're going to come back to Oregon. And because we collectively said, oh, yeah, we're going to give you the operation to change a boy to a girl and a girl to a boy, well, we're going to have to pay for the operation to change them back. We're just as guilty collectively. I know you and I didn't vote for this. We didn't support this. But collectively, Oregon, well, we've got a cross to bear. And that cross has a lot of names on it. And one of those names is Avery's name. He's a victim. Don't mistake it. He's a victim. And it's just the saddest thing. Peggy Wren says Dr. John Mooney used him as an experiment. Very, very sad. Yeah, and that's what some of these people have done. David Reamer, the twin boy, made a female after a botched circumcision in 1965. Yeah, that's another sad story. I don't know if you've ever heard that story, where a young man, I believe during the circumcision, had his penis removed. And so what they did is, instead of recognizing their accident and trying to recoup the young man that they had now damaged, they turned the young man into a young woman. And of course, he grew up thinking, what the hell's wrong with me? I'm not a woman, I'm a man. And he was a man. So what we're doing to these children is, it's sick on a whole new level. It's disgusting on a whole new level. And I look at this young man here. What a disgusting display that we did collectively as a society. This is why I fought so hard with John Sweet when he wanted to give our money to that all ages drag show, Prom Pride Fest. They said it was because I was transphobic, I was homophobic, I'm just a fascist. No, it's not that I'm a fascist. It's that I don't want young people like Avery here, to become victims of a phase or a system or an ideology that's twisting the brains of the young people and using them like pawns to be fodder for their own little pleasure. It's sick. It's sick. This is who I'm fighting for. John Sweet, if you're watching, this is why I went to the meeting and I yelled at you. This is why I call you a sick old man, John Sweet, is because you're now part of the people who are doing what the people who did to Avery. You're now part of that group. And I don't know what we're going to do about this as a society, because like I said, it's something that it breaks my heart. I've got a granddaughter. I've got a child. Oh, thank God he's 27 and I don't have to worry. He's not going to be transitioning anytime soon. I don't think he was ever planning on it, but it would have been horrible if you're the parent of some kid who wants to transition. What if Avery was your son and Avery came to you, Dad, I'm a girl. Well, that's nice, son, but you could put on a dress and go to school, but we're not going to give you any chemicals. We're not going to give you any operations until you're 18, and then you should pay for them yourself. Yeah. Peggy says, Sweet has the Biden syndrome, it appears. Yeah, it's starting to appear that way. It's very, very sad. And here's the worst part, is they start normalizing transitioning And then this is what happens. They start saying, well, that's normal. You know what else is normal? Pedophilia. Yeah, that's where they're going with this. This is the next thing. This is the next thing they're doing. Don't tell me you don't think it is. Don't tell me that I'm wrong here. They're now encouraging a lot of gay couples to adopt young boys. A lot of gay men couples. This I've seen now at least a dozen of these cases where they were in the news, gay couples, they adopted young boys, and then in the end, they ended up molesting, or in this case, murdering the young men, the young children. And I'm to the point now where we just shouldn't be giving gay couples, especially men, children. It's kind of like giving candy to a diabetic or alcohol to an alcoholic. But it says the child had suffered 40 injuries, including several, an internal bruising and a fractured arm. Detective found videos of Varley's phone recorded earlier the day with the boy lying on the bed with respiratory arrest, but the defendant did not seek medical help. Varley is charged with murder, manslaughter, 2 counts of assault by penetration, 5 counts of cruelty to a child, grievous bodily harm, sexual assault of a child, 13 counts of taking indecent photos or videos of a child, 1 of distributing an indecent photo of a child. What a sick bastard. A month before the child's death, this is the real kicker. This is the one where people need to pay a lot of attention to. But a month before the child's death, Varley told a social worker he wasn't bonding with the child and was having dark thoughts about him, including thoughts of drowning or suffocating the baby. He said he would never act on them. They let him keep the baby anyway. Yeah, the same people who were supposed to protect Avery, well, they didn't protect this baby either. And this is like I said, this is about the 6th or 7th story I read in the news about 2 men adopting a child, boys, and end up molesting those boys, and in this case, murdering them. How many more times does this have to happen before we say, maybe gay guys shouldn't be adopting kids? If you want to be gay, that's okay, but kids is not in your future. Just not in your future. I don't know what the percentage is for lesbians, but and they'll tell you, the leftists will say, well, you look at the statistics, gay men are less likely to be child molesters. Well, maybe. I don't know if that's a true statistic. I don't know if that's true because we just recently started letting gay couples adopt young boys. So now that there's a higher percentage, a bigger pool of men adopting young boys, we're going to find out if those statistics hold. And I'll tell you what, with the stories that are coming out, the story like this sick bastard on the screen right there, the more these studies and these percentages start coming out, I think we're going to find what a lot of us already believed, that gay couples probably shouldn't be adopting kids. Just probably shouldn't be happening. And I didn't want to go out on a downer, but man, I didn't want to start off with those stories because they were just sick. They were just sick. They were disturbing. They really bother me. I don't like to talk about them, but they have to be talked about because there's a lot of people who are just ignoring these facts. And if these facts aren't presented and are not presented properly, you may not know that they exist. And you may not know that there are people out there who agree with you. Vice versa. I'm always impressed with how many people I find who agree with what I'm saying on the show. They'll tell me all the time, yeah, keep it up. Keep up the good work. And I plan and I intend on doing that. I do want to go over real quick some of the people we are supporting for this upcoming election. If you live in Douglas County, I'd recommend you get behind Steve Hamerson. We need Steve. He is one of the few candidates who's endorsed by Oregon Firearms Federation. And of course, Claire Lynn, we're supporting Claire Lynn. We think she's a wonderful lady. She's going to be running. She's got this leftist Democrat she's going to run against. I don't think he's even a challenge, but we got to support her. So please vote for Claire Lynn in the November election. And I don't know where that came from. There you go. Monique Despain. We're also supporting Monique Despain, who's running against Val Hoyle. She's running, it's going to be a challenge. It's an uphill race. Val Hoyle has a lot of money. She's got a lot of support. She's well liked in her district. But there's a lot of people who don't like her. There's a lot of people who think she's very scandalous. The LaMotta scandal comes to mind, and hopefully Monique Despain will be able to handle that challenge and successfully beat her in the election. At least I hope so. I hope that is what turns out. And of course, we are supporting Drazen for governor. All of you people out there who don't like Drazen, who said you're never going to vote for her, what would be the harm in voting for her? You know, at one time I said I'd never vote for her either, and I didn't in the last election. It wouldn't have mattered. My vote wouldn't have done a damn thing. But I'm asking you people who are anti-Drazen, never Drazen people, what would it harm to vote for her? I mean, really, getting Kotek back isn't going to be a pleasant thing. And look on the bright side. If you vote for her and she doesn't win, at least you can say, hey, I threw in my vote behind her. So what happened? Yeah, we need to get behind her because this state is going to hell. And I don't even think we have a handbasket. We're just going straight to hell. And we need to change. I know I'm going to be supporting Christine Drazen. I'll probably have a couple of signs at the headquarters. She's supposed to get us a couple of signs so you can pick them up down there at the headquarters. Let me see if I can pop that up. I had the map up here. Where'd that map go? Oh, there we go. Let me add this. And by the way, you can sign the petitions at the headquarters 2 to 6 p.m. Monday through Wednesday. Hopefully we'll be expanding those hours. But yeah, at the headquarters, if you need to get a Drazen sign, I think we got a couple still left down there. The new Republican headquarters at 936677 Newport Lane, heading south of Coos Bay towards Allegheny. And there you go. So I want to thank all of you for joining us. Please check out this past Friday night rant. Seattle, Marty Kurt, very good conversation. We'll be having another Friday night rant this Friday. And remember, we have some really good sponsors for this show, 3H Tree Service. They're licensed, they're bonded for tree removal, tree trimming, and lot clearing. You can get a free estimate. Please call them at 541-294-1800. Matt Holman is the name. 3H Tree Service, a family-owned business. They can remove those trees with surgical precision. Great group of people. And of course, Tom and Gigs for all of your automotive needs. Check them out. You can get lift kits and performance accessories. They're at 135 South Shoneman Street, Coos Bay, Oregon, 541-888-4660. And you can find out if your car is travel worthy. Is your car travel worthy? I don't know if my car is travel worthy. Do you know if your car is travel worthy? I freaking don't know, but you can find out at 135 South Shoneman Street at Tom and Gigs. And you can pick up an RC car or maybe some Tannerite. Remember, to buy the Tannerite, you do have to be 18 years or older. But remember, your ride's worth it. So check them out at Tom and Gigs. And of course, Herbal Choices, the herbal dispensary of my choice. Herbal Choices Cannabis. You can find out more at herbalchoices.com. Remember, you have to be 21 years or older, and you will be asked for an ID. And remember, folks, this is a drug. This is a drug, and you need to keep it out of the reach of children. You can't operate heavy equipment while under the influence of marijuana, and you can't drive a car while under the influence of marijuana. And hey, if you smoke too much damn pot, or you're a druggie, or you're gambling, you got sexual addictions, that's right, I got something for you. Abstinence for all your excesses. That's right, for all your excesses, we have the relief. Abstinence. That's right. If you're doing stupid shit, we got the solution. Stop it. Just freaking stop it. All of you druggies out there in Empire, every time you're ODing and you can't figure out why you're ODing, it's because you're not abstaining. You're not abstaining. Try a little abstinence. Don't smoke the fentanyl today. That's right. Don't walk around with your pants down today. That's right. Don't take a crap on the sidewalk today. Try some abstinence. Abstain from all your criminal deviant behavior. I know it's a lot to ask, but we all do it. So, for the relief of all your excesses, try a little abstinence. Send me some money. Maybe I'll send you a bottle. Who the hell knows? Well, folks, it was great seeing you all. I want to thank you all for joining me. I will see you next week, or actually, I'll see you Friday. And so until then, you know what I always say, carry on, Coos County. Carry on.